Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 363. Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, drnorge, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim. What's that tingling in my head? So says the sensei of the whatnot, Segulin, and the Duke of You Know.
How's it going, eh?
On this episode, we're going to be continuing our chat about Trinity War. We're also going to look at Forever Evil #1 and Action Comics 23.1 and Green Lantern 23.1. So we have a really packed episode talking about the opening salvo of Forever Evil and some of the first Villains Month issues that we're going to be taking a look at for the next few weeks because there's a lot to discuss there, which I think is really cool. We are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network and the League of Comic Book Podcasts. Sponsoring us this episode is DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. Over at DCBService.com, I'm a big fan of when they do this. They actually have two bundles going right now. One is the September Vertigo bundle, and this one has the Sandman Overture #1, Coffin Hill #2, Hinterkind #2, Astro City #6, FBP, Federal Bureau of Physics #5, and Trillium #4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. Regularly $21.94 each, 50% off only $10.97. If you're like me and you like to try some of these titles first to see if they're right for you, a bundle like this where you're saving 50% off is a fantastic deal. They're also doing this with the DC Kids, which is a great opportunity to get these books. It's 4 books that are regularly $11.96, 50% off only $5.98. That includes Batman Little Gotham #8, Scooby-Doo Where Are You #39, Beware the Batman #2, and Scooby-Doo Team Up #1. So this is cool if you like to bundle these titles together and try them. Getting them at 50% off is an amazing deal. It's also a great way to help you decide budget-wise, like which titles fit into your budget. I think that stuff's really cool. I know Scooby-Doo Team Up #1 has Batman and Robin teaming up with Scooby-Doo 2, which is kind of cool. Over at InStockTrades.com, they have this really cool Batman Legends of the Dark Knight trade paperback. It's volume 1. This collects the first 5 issues of the Digital First series. It's 168 pages, $14.99 regularly, 50% off, only $7.50. I'm a big fan of the Legends of the Dark Knight concept, and I'm collecting it digitally myself, but when you get trade paperbacks like this, it's a great opportunity if you haven't been picking up this series to pick it up at an amazing deal. And what I like about Legends of the Dark Knight is they're stories that are set out of continuity. Creators come up with really cool Batman concepts, so like every few issues, you get a brand new story, and it's all done from amazing top talent, and it's a beautiful book, and it's a very unique Batman experience. I was a fan of the first series of Legends of the Dark Knight. I'm glad this has been brought back as Digital First series. I hope it's highly successful. This is a great opportunity to pick it up if you haven't. Remember, with InStockTrades.com, orders of $50 or more give you free shipping. It's a great with the 50% off deals and all kinds of other discounts that they have throughout the site on hardcovers and trade paperbacks. It's real easy to get to that $50 sweet spot easily, and that's a great way to save more money by not having to pay for shipping to get those books delivered to your door. And they're always in pristine condition, which is really important to me as a collector. So I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for continuing to support the show. James, what kind of a podcast are we?
Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth into plotline, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're discussing on the show. So if you haven't read the books, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
Jim, for our next discussion, we are going to finish off talking about Trinity War and actually talk about the beginning of Forever Evil. And we're going to start with part 5 of the 6-part Trinity War series, which is Injustice League Dark #23. Jeff Lemire is the writer. Mikkel Janin is the artist, and apologize for any name butchery there. Jeremy Cox, colorist. Rob Lay, letterer. Doug Monkey and Alex Sinclair on the main cover. Mikkel Janin, Vicente Fuentes, and Tomeo More on the variant cover. Kate Stewart is the assistant editor. Brian Cunningham, senior editor. Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster by special arrangement with the Jerry Siegel family. Ooh. You know, this is one of the things, you know, a lot of times we talk about, do you get adventitis? Do you not get adventitis? When you get a story that delivers like this one has, and really delivers a lot of pop, a lot of bang, and it's not rushed. I really felt like this needed to be a 6-part story. The more the story developed, it had a great build. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of mystery, a lot of drama, a lot of wondering what characters doing what and what role they're going to play, and how this was ultimately going to pan out. I saw it going one way, and it very much, this is really where it started to surprise me. And I'm not saying that there weren't elements of surprise there before, but really when we started to get to this point in the story, I'm like, woo, I'm really not sure how they're going to do this one. And I really liked that, because by this time, we knew who the villains were in the story. And yet, that absolutely took nothing away from me from what I was reading, because it really is a great example of, we got Phantom Stranger, basically out of the picture completely, and with us not knowing, obviously you kind of think Phantom Stranger is going to somehow come back eventually, but at this point in time in the story, to have somebody of that kind of power, because we know this Trinity is easily some of the most powerful beings in the DC universe currently. They can't normally be killed or hurt or things like that, and we're seeing this guy just completely taken out of the game. Yeah. That was really cool.
Oh God, yeah, and it's weird because I was thinking about it, and part of me wishes I didn't know it was the crime syndicate before the big reveal. But like you, it didn't really take away from my enjoyment of the story, because I'm like, oh, this is kind of. I'm still, thinking it. But there's part of me still wishes this was like back in the '80s when there wasn't as much communication and you didn't know every little thing that's going to happen, and it would, because that would have been a huge just oh my God moment. It was still cool to see it happen. It was still, the story's wonderful. But there is something about that. I wish maybe, I don't know. Sometimes I wish they didn't have, all the information out there. Just leave some stuff for surprises. Wait for us to actually find out, as the story unfolds.
And I agree with you 100%. I guess I'm kind of baffled as to why we do find out. Like, what is the need to reveal that to news sites or things like that? Would it have, I guess, to me, I don't think it would have any less buzz for it to happen in the book, and then that's how you find out. Like, let's go back to what happened with Damian Wayne. Like, it didn't ruin it for me that I knew ahead of time, but I'm not sure, I guess I don't understand why it was necessary for that to be revealed before it happened in the story. Like, it would have been great to find that out on that Wednesday. And just see people, did you read what happened in Batman Inc.? Not to find out from newspaper articles and that kind of stuff. That to me baffles me.
Exactly. Now, and as we say this, we both enjoyed Death of Superman, and we knew Superman was going to die going throughout it. So it's one of those weird things that
the story was called Death of Superman.
Right. So it's going to happen. You knew that was going to happen, and with this, they're going through. So knowing that it's the crime syndicate isn't taking away from my enjoyment, but I think part of me just thinks I would have enjoyed it maybe a little bit more if it would have been a complete surprise. But the neat thing is the way the story's being crafted, because we know it's the crime syndicate. We know they have a mole inside the Justice League, but we were still debating as to who the mole could be, what was the situation, even though we knew it had to be someone from the crime syndicate. So this was the way they laid out the story, and the way waited until the final moment to find out who actually was the mole. How did this happen? Who is the outsider? Everything that played that way. Exactly what incarnation of the crime syndicate are we going to be dealing with? So there's a lot of different stuff that are still going to get played out, still going to be unknown factors, and I think that's the strength of a story, when they can tell you this is the ending, and you're still enjoyed. You still enjoy the process going through, because there are little details that they left out, and as they get revealed, I had wow, that's cool. I didn't see that one coming.
I liked seeing how Pandora's box was affecting the various people, not only the ones that it came in contact with physically, but the ones surrounding those people. How that it became something that the more and more the effect was being unleashed from it, the doorway was being opened, because that's what we know was happening. So I mean, I know I'm kind of jumping a little ahead with that, but we're getting there anyway. So what's the point in avoiding it at this point? But like when Billy gets it from Diana and does the Shazam and becomes very Black Adam-like in his appearance. It was cool to see how all of that played out. And I loved the picture when he says Shazam. I love that there were 7 of them that were hit from the magic world, like the 7 deadly sins. I thought that was really clever. The artwork, once again, we talk about this series, Justice League Dark. What a great book, visually. I absolutely loved the take of the artist on Earth 2, on Animal Man, on the Demon, on our friend the Vampire, Swamp Thing, Amethyst, and Deadman. I mean, just that whole sequence there, to me, that was poster worthy. I love that. I love when you get pictures with a lot of different characters from a lot of different books and a lot of different places in the DC universe. You got Batman in there as well, and it's just a really cool shot.
Oh God, yeah. And you're talking poster worthy. I've been picking up digitally the different comics that we're going to talk about because it's just easier for me to have it up there. And I have that page right now up on my screen, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make this my screensaver because this is just absolutely wonderful.
Now, is Billy? Help me if I'm right on this one. Is Billy going to be the Black Adam in this story that they were talking about in Forever Evil?
Oh God, yeah. That's how I am reading it. That Billy is the corrupted, because Black Adam was the corrupted version of the magic. So now that Billy is corrupted, he is Black Adam. And I'm assuming that Black Adam was released or somehow inside. I don't know exactly how we're going to get Billy back, but I'm assuming that same Billy, because later on we see the Black Adam costume still.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out.
Now, one thing, and you mentioned this, and I just want to echo and say how awesome it was that we do see the Earth 2 heroes on this page. That magic is crossing over the boundaries of the the universe, the different universes. Plus, we find out eventually that the skull isn't magic, but it's a form of technology. So it's that hybrid combo type of existence. And I thought that was a neat, just way to show the multi-universes, etc.
Well, it's a technology that actually is a dimensional doorway.
Yeah.
So by its nature, that combining with magic is, it was sending Billy's magic to outside of our world, which I thought was really cool. When we get back to the House of Mystery, I like that we get to see from Deadman that what happened there wasn't just like they were shocked. There was a connection between the various magic users, and Deadman is able to actually, because he was able to sense all of the other magic users at that point, connected with Madame Xanadu and actually was able to catch her location. I love stuff like that because you got a teammate who's in danger and he's like, hey, wait a minute, guys. For as much of a headache as I've got right now, there's some good news out of this. That's the kind of stuff that, to me, is the difference between a hero and a civilian. So I'm not even going to put the bad guy thing into that. A hero's like immediately thinking at that point not about themselves and what they just went through. They're realizing that there was an opportunity presented to do some good for a colleague, a comrade at arms. I thought that was just a great sequence. I don't know why it just struck me that way, but I just thought that was really cool because I'm like, oh yeah, hey, thumbs up Deadman. Because I don't know, most people in that situation wouldn't be so quick to rush and say, I know where Xanadu is. They'd be like, hey, look at me. I just went through, chaos. Yes. And I just thought that was very, very good writing for that sequence.
Oh yeah. And again, it shows how cool Batman is because he picks up, he goes, wait a minute. You sensed everybody, and it was like that. Batman's Batman. He's always improvising. He's always reacting, and this series again, another series that really just has me gushing about how cool Batman is, and I'm glad that I'm getting the same energy from his books that I'm getting from this, and there are different writers, different creative teams involved with him, but we've got a creative force that knows how to handle these characters, who knows who they are and what they're about. And even just little subtle stuff. Cyborg throughout this has been another character that I've really enjoyed. Yes. And you get that one, panel afterwards where the Justice League that are, in DC, just had the building dropped down. You got Element Woman threw up, the barrier. You got Cyborg there holding up Superman. And we know find out Superman's being poisoned by kryptonite. But it's just you see these heroes just working together. A moment ago, they weren't, on the same page. You throw adversity at them, and it's okay. It's rally time. Let's gather the forces. Let's get this going. Let's figure out what we got to do. And I always like seeing the heroes come together like this.
I love this, too, because one of the great things about this crossover is that you're seeing a lot of heroes put together that have not been put together during the entire New 52. So you're seeing some intermixing and mingling of people that are instantly respecting themselves, respecting each other on the battlefield, respecting ideologies, and rallying behind them. And that kind of stuff I'm just finding tremendously interesting about this. This is exactly what I loved as a kid growing up when they would do crossovers. And particularly, I'm talking about the JLA, JSA ones, because the concept of big, company-wide events and things like that was not present during that time. Those crossovers were really the ones where you're like, wow, I'm seeing this character with this character. We never see that. And that stuff was really cool. And this had that vibe for me because they waited, like 2 years to do something on this scale. And I'm glad they did, because it really does mean more to me now, because they gave us some wiggle room with this. Like, I was really, after all the character development of these guys, I was ready to see how they would interact. I'm really digging that part of this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And again, it's, just the little stuff like with Firestorm. I'm so glad we got the kind of run that we got with him. And I know who these different characters are. And it's... just to have him put in with this and have him reacting, how Ronnie and Jason reacting, and just especially, they're sitting there revealing, hey, it's time to lay all the cards on the table. And, when they start talking about how, Waller had them make kryptonite. And it was funny because I was sitting there, and this was one of those moments where, I had the theory that it was, that the mole was Adam. I said that last issue. And as I was reading this issue, I was thinking, just this moment, every time someone did something to disrupt the harmony of the team, it always made me, are they doing this? Or no, this is the right reason. Okay, yeah, we're okay. And you look at it because, again, I know these characters, I know who they are, but it does throw a little, a skip in the beat when, once again, he's giving them another reason not to trust Waller, even though it's kind of a good thing that he does have the kryptonite. He does know how to make kryptonite because you never know what was going to happen to Superman. It's one of those things where you sit there and you see the quote unquote villain of of this particular story arc, and you kind of have to agree with her that what, U.S. could use a fail-safe against him.
I loved the bits with Frankenstein.
Yeah.
It made me want, you mentioned Firestorm, and I totally agree with your comments, but Frankenstein as a book, when that book was canceled, it really bothered me because I was really into the series at that point. And I really loved the character, I loved the supporting cast and everything like that. When you see him in sequences like this, I'm like, oh man, I so want this guy back in his own book. I'm glad that we've got him somewhere. In Justice League Dark, we've got this character. But wow, was it great to see him doing what he's doing right here, taking the lead in crazy situations where he's just like, you know what, there is no time for chattering. And he's right. Like, you're sitting there going, yeah, it's not even just a mindless barbarian rage that he's going in there. This is a guy, Frankenstein gets it. He can analyze a situation and go, we cannot afford to wait around. What we're dealing with is a big deal. You got to jump in where angels fear to tread. And he's doing that. Not caring or knowing, which I think only a person who's put together by patchwork would do that, but not caring or knowing what could potentially happen to him in this situation. I thought it was great. It was also cool to see, especially knowing what we know about his backstory, with what kind of baggage he's carrying, the fact that there is a connection to each of the limbs' previous owners going on within him. He grabs that Pandora's box. You gotta think that guy's going to be susceptible.
Well, and it was funny because when he was reaching for it, I was thinking, I wonder if Frank could, do it because he's undead, because of the patchwork, because of all that. And it's as he's going for it, immediately you see, nope, he's corrupted as well. Uh-oh. That's going to be a problem with Frank corrupted because Frank's tough. And I love this panel of all of them just swooping on him and they're fighting. And it's the magic, some of our magic users are hanging back saying, wait a minute. And even, Zatanna tries throwing up the protection spell for her, Pandora, and Stargirl. And it's, again, I was like, yes, all right. And the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is how it's going to, this is how they're going to stop it. This is how they're going to stop it. And the whole time, none of them are able to stop this. They've been played from the beginning. And I was just, again, I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't know what was going to happen. And as it's playing out, I was still like, oh, yeah, of course I should have seen that. Of course I should have figured that was going to be the gateway. But it's still, as you get so caught up in these characters because they are reacting so true. I love just keep seeing Wonder Woman just as just the hardcore, butt-kicking warrior that she is, or just some wonderful, great moments. And you got Hawkman with his rage, and even Aquaman's like, forget it, freak, I am a king, I should have it. And does he actually, believe that stuff? No, but he's been corrupted. He's been pushed over. He's, his emotional reactions to the extreme. So we're getting these extreme reactions from these characters.
I really am becoming a huge Zatanna fan.
Yeah.
Like, I love that whole sequence with her where we know, one thing I like about her character is we know she's not this all-powerful magician. We know she's a gifted and talented magician, but she's not all-powerful. We've seen that in Justice League Dark. That's some great character development because when we see her here, she's got skills, mad skills, and she's able to cast a protection spell that's going to hold for a bit. But, and even to the point where we get to see her holding her own for that time against some of the other heroes, at least temporarily. And, she works with Pandora. They're trying to get that box out of there. That stuff is just plain fantastic. I really loved the sense that your focus is constantly shifting. 1 minute you're on Billy, next minute you're Billy and Wonder Woman, then you're on Frankenstein, then you're on Zatanna and her little crew. And, and like you said, then, there's points in time where you're on Aquaman and Hawkman and all them as they're being gradually corrupted and brought in. There's a lot of screen time in an appropriate way to each character where it never feels like it isn't appropriate. Like, yeah, they're quick sequences, but they're well-produced sequences that I really was eating up all the way through. It's hard to do that when you do these crossovers, to give a lot of personality screen time to characters. And they managed to do that really well here. Even when the characters were corrupted, they felt like still the characters that we know and love. And that's cool.
With Constantine stepping in. I love the fact that Constantine's able to pick it up without being without being corrupted because, well, you can't soil a pot that's already filthy, love. I just love that logic, and I was laughing because when I saw the scene with him picking up, first thing I'm like, what are we going to get, a corrupt Constantine? Then, it immediately clicks in your head. No, that kind of makes sense. That, John is beyond the corruption of Pandora's box.
I love the way that sequence all played out because Constantine's like that one constant. I became a Hellblazer fan very late in the game, but when I did, I really felt like, wow, I have been missing out on a lot. And then when they brought him into the DC universe proper and started utilizing him, I thought they did a really good job of bringing a younger version of him into the world, making some adjustments so that he fits seamlessly into the New 52. But they kept some of the really strong core characteristics of the character that I was really getting to dig in Vertigo. So I'm hoping there's some strong Vertigo fans that are feeling like they're still getting a Constantine fix from this guy, because I gotta admit, I'm not saying I'm the consummate Constantine expert, but wow, do I really like what they're doing with him right now. And this has come from someone who was really getting very into his own series in Vertigo. I was worried that we were going to lose some of that in the translation. I don't feel like we have. And I hope other people are getting that same experience as I am, being a more casual Constantine fan than perhaps some of the more diehard ones are. But I totally get the love that people have had for years for this character, because he's fantastic.
Oh, God, yeah. And it's funny, every time I get some more cool Constantine moments, and it makes me want to go out and get more of the old Constantine, the original series, and just to see what this guy was like back then, because I know he was a bit more of an SOB, even more so to what we're getting now, and I know it's a little bit more harder edge of stories that were told with him. And I've got a couple of the stories, and I've read a couple of stories, and every time I read a story, I'm like, oh, this is neat, but there's always something, for whatever reason, I just, I look at the end of my shopping and I'm like, I'm done with shopping. So I don't end up picking up trades on him. But, moments like this are where I want to expand my knowledge of the guy. I want to read more stuff with him. Same thing with Zatanna. Every time she's been in these stories, every time we've seen her, and just you see this really cool hero. And I would love to see more out of her, more, out of the character, more just, more usage, and just seeing her across the boards, because we put her out there. There's going to be, there's a better chance that, the character will continue, grow on, and just, I always like seeing that evolution and growth.
We get the reveal at the end from the outsider that, you get it now, finally. This is a doorway, which is what he was trying to prevent all along. He did not want them to know what they were really dealing with. They thought the goal was to put something back in there. Pandora has been obsessed with the fact that the goal was to put something back in there. It really wasn't. It was a gateway to open up to another world. Oof. That ending with the outsider, reading that issue with me was just like, oh, yes. That was one for me, as the cliffhangers increased, as the story went on. I felt with every cliffhanger, I was getting more and more like, can the next issue get here already? That one was the one where I'm like, what do you mean I gotta wait? I gotta wait for the next Justice League issue to find out what happens with this? And, we definitely knew who the villains were at this point, which, gave you a really good idea who this guy actually is. But, even though we knew he was that Alfred, because that, had to have been his thing, oh my gosh, did I just want to read it at that point. That's a sign of great storytelling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and as we said a couple times already, it was just, this has been a beautifully crafted story that, even though we knew the ending, we knew the crime syndicate was coming, we knew that was the, Earth 3 Alfred, and that, he's obviously working for their version of Batman or Owlman and whatnot, and it's still, every time they reveal a little something, I still had a cool reaction to it. Even though, as I said, I knew it was coming, but I still enjoyed the process of getting it, of just seeing it on paper. And it's a combination of beautiful artwork, well-crafted story, everybody working together and it's over multiple issues, multiple titles, multiple creative teams, and they all just seamlessly are working together. I really don't see any time where it was like, that's just kind of a little bit off from the other story. Everything went through beautifully, and I got to just, that's just huge, just compliments to full creative team, editorial, everything, just everybody. This was a team project, and that's kind of, I like seeing, or getting that concept of team from the creative forces.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It definitely felt like there was no awkwardness between the different books, and that part really stood out for me.
Let's continue on to part 6 of the Trinity War in Justice League number 23. The writer is Jeff Johns, penciler Evan Reese, with Joe Prada, Enclair Albert, and Eber Fiera, and the inks, colors Rob Reese, Nick J. Napolitano on letters, Doug Monkey, Alex Sinclair on cover, with the variant cover by Mikel Janine, Vicente Cifuentes, and Tomu Mori on the variant covers. And please, I do apologize because I know I butchered a lot of names in that one. And of course, the assistant editor is Kate Stewart, with senior editor Brian Cunningham, and Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster by special arrangements with this Jerry Siegel family. Wow, I really butchered a lot there.
Special arrangements. I like that. I like that we start at the beginning with looking at the birth of the Justice League, because really this is a story that has its roots at Flashpoint, because that's where we were first introduced to Pandora. and she was brought into this world. This is something that really has been crafted for the last 2 years. This is what we always liked about what was going on in the Green Lantern books. And this is a strength that Jeff Johns has. And I love that, the whole creative team, I don't know, the genesis of this, how many people were involved or how this all played out. But this is definitely comics at their best when you start getting stories that have, threads like this. It's one of the reasons why it's really important to allow creative teams as much as possible to have lengthy runs on a book, because they can develop stuff like this. And that's, to me, the best in serialized storytelling is when you can go back and go, wow, 2 years ago, the seeds of this were planted, and we're just now seeing this payoff. Amazing stuff. I love the new version of Darkseid, too, because it's enough of the classic while feeling, sleek and modern today, but it definitely, goes back to Darkseid's roots. And when you look at that whole team of Justice League, every single one of them looks just as iconic as they should, but I really think again, going back to what you're saying about the art team, this was great. I loved seeing their first fight with Starro, and just kind of how long the Outsider's been here and what the Outsider's been doing. Wow, was that cool?
Yeah, the neat thing with some of these panels when I was going through, because you get that opening where you're seeing the massive battle. I'm like, yeah. But then I started looking in the background, and you see Flash in the background pulling people away. Yep. You got Hal using this ring to pull civilians out of the fight. It just every kind of, the layout. I was glad they put some attention into that, where it wasn't just about beating on Darkseid. They were actually doing the hero things. And Flash and Green Lantern really fit for, to me, to be in the people who would be taking care of crowds, who would be clearing out the innocent and, protecting, the general civilian population. I thought that was kind of a cool bit to have in there. And when they show the Outsider coming through the gateway, and I see the shadowy image of who came with her, I did throw up my hands, and I said, yes, I was right. Just seeing the bob female hair, and I was like, it's got to be her. It's got to be Adam has got to come over from the other world. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I'm like, it does, because the whole time I was sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, our New 52 is doing a female Adam, that's kind of cool. They're changing around, and I never really heard anyone complaining about no Ray Palmer or Ryan Choi. And I'm like, well, okay, they're going to go with a female. That's kind of neat. She's a cool character. Started seeing a little bit about her. I thought it was kind of interesting how she was, playing, Justice League of America against Justice League, and it never really dawned on me until these last two, the last couple issues, that I thought, okay, the reason we have a completely different is because she's from a different Earth. And that for me was just a great, kind of like, oh, that's awesome.
But you didn't see that coming, did you?
What?
Her being from a different Earth?
It wasn't until, basically.
And I'm not arguing. I'm genuinely asking that.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I know you said that she was the mole. Did you think that she was from a different place? Well, how are you seeing it? And that's no argument. I'm genuinely asking because I'm curious to see how far your thinking went with that.
Well, when I initially thinking she was the mole for the secret society. Uh-huh. I was thinking she was it. I didn't have any concrete evidence. Yes, it was her, until this issue. And it was at this moment when I saw it come through, I'm like, okay, that's definitely got to be her. She's definitely the villain. And then I'm like, oh, wow, that's when it dawned on me, she's from that Earth. I was initially thinking if she was the mole, maybe she was, a villain. Maybe she was. I wasn't really completely 100% thinking. It was more of a theory I was writing that she was the villain's mole in the Justice League, but it was still, kind of, just building and developing in my head what, who she was. And it wasn't obviously until this that I knew, okay, she's from Earth too. And that's when everything just kind of came into picture. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. It's kind of clear now.
And part of the reason why I'm even mentioning that is I think there's something interesting when you've got a storyline like this going on, and you can, you saw her for what she was, that she was the mole, and that was cool. I love that there was an additional layer to it, like the part where you could still even though you were seeing the clues, you still had, there was another swerve of like, I was like, wow, is that like, I really love that kind of stuff. When they can take a storyline and you think you've got things pinned down, and just when you think you've got that, there's another twist. That's where the story gets really deep. I appreciate that as a fan, because anybody who tries to diminish comics as being some kind of lesser material, there are the best in the best of television programs. The ones that people are clamoring around right now. And a lot of them are cable shows. The ones that have that kind of depth to their storytelling are, especially a lot of these like Showtime and HBO 12-episode numbers where, the stories they're really got a lot of dense material in them. They're this quality of material. This is up there with that kind of stuff. And I think that's great. Comics don't get the respect they deserve. That's why I geek out so much on this show about this material, because we get this kind of stuff delivered all the time. This is what makes comics worth reading. And I don't think people who haven't had the opportunity to read some of the best of the comic material really understand what you can gather from this delivery medium.
Yeah, and it's funny because even though I knew where she was coming from, I still enjoyed the moment when she revealed and how she revealed it, because right along with her reveal was another swerve I didn't see coming. The whole Cyborg part and his playing it, and that part of it, I didn't see any of that coming until I read the story. And I was like, "Oh, that is awesome!" And again, it's how you craft a story. Even though we know what's going to happen, if you can still surprise them, that tells you, dang, this is neat. And just the evil Alfred's commentary as he's running through this, as he's showing the battle with Starro, the battle with the big mech dude, the battle with Ivo, everything that going through, how he's taking pieces and bits and pieces, and he's learning about this world. I love that moment when he's looking at the map going, east is west and west is east. And he's like, everything's idea is the same, but it's just twisted. It's turned inside out. It's backwards. And then in the moment when he finds out about Pandora's box and he recognizes a symbol, he knows where it's come from. It was funny. My first read through, I read the words and I saw it, but I didn't completely just in sync that he made it. It was like, I was thinking, okay, this is just a doorway. This is, because he got through a different means. I was figuring he was going to use that somehow. It didn't completely ring true in my head that they created it, that they put it here on Earth, until it's later revealed in the issue. And I was like, dang, that is cool. And just, it's funny because in a world of villains, this Alfred is still loyal to his master. Now, is he loyal out of fear? Is he loyal out of whatnot? I don't know, but there's still that bound loyalty that he has to Alfred, that he has to the Waynes.
One of the things we're glossing over when you're talking about the Adam reveal, and this is stuff that to me is where it gets really good, because you can think of characters doing certain things, but when you see the actual play out of it like this, knowing that she took a sliver of the ring, the kryptonite ring, went inside Superman's head, and used that sliver because nobody could see her doing it, and used that to kill Dr. Light. That whole reveal was really great. That was no blah-ha-ha moment. I mean, that was one of those where you're just kind of like, wow. Oh, Vic, honey, so are you. When that all happened, I just absolutely adored that. Because you've now taken two heavy hitters, because Superman's still off the table. Now Cyborg is too. Really, and Cyborg is their oracle, their data connection, their connection to the world in a way that, Batman, you think about how much Batman relied on Oracle in the previous universe. Cyborg's become that 411 guy. And you've taken him out of play now. So now their connectability is off the table. I know you've got Martian Manhunter there and you can have that telepathic connection, but we know that information is power, and Cyborg certainly was that source of information in that moment. So just really, really great stuff.
And this is just, talking just about the Cyborg reveal, and just how, his body just rips itself from his flesh. That was just a moment of complete shock and surprise. I wasn't surprised with her, but even though it's funny, I say I wasn't surprised, I still was like, oh, that is cool, because going in the brain, hitting the nerve, everything that she did there, I knew she was the bad guy. I knew she was but I still enjoyed it. This one completely caught me completely out of left field. Didn't see this coming at all, and just the ripping of the cybernetics from his body, like, wow, that is just nasty. And cool to see Bez jump on it immediately with his ring, with the lantern ring, to keep him sustained, to keep him alive. And I was just like, wow, that is, again, shows a neat moment of a inexperienced hero knowing immediately what immediately needs to be done. No one told him, hey, keep him alive, do whatever you can. He jumped on it immediately. And it's the strength of that character, because he does have, we've seen that level of type of heroic moments for him.
I loved the the Earth 3 Aquaman reveal into the appearance of Ultraman. The walking with the boots, seeing that up close, the way that Madame Xanadu is explaining, we never understood it. The Trinity wasn't about you three. The Trinity was about Earth 3.
Yep.
Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3. I wonder what, with the reveal of Dr. Fate having that connection there, I wonder what, if any, the role Earth 2 is going to play in this. Will Earth 2 play a role in this? I don't know. Regardless of whether Earth 2 does or not, when we finally see the reveal of the crime syndicate, that was absolutely fantastic. The way they carry themselves, the development of the personality between the characters, right away we're finding out this information. Batman's trying to rally the troops, but in the meantime, they've got a horrible situation on their hands with two major heavy hitters being taken out of the game. I want to know, who do you think's under the hood? Luthor from their world?
Well, I had two theories on it. One is Luthor, the Earth, the Earth 3 Luthor, but the other one is, what if it's Ray Palmer? Ray Palmer traveled to that universe, and that's how they knew about this universe.
Wow.
Those are my two theories. Luthor is my main theory, but going otherwise, that was the other person that popped in my head. What if it's Ray? Or what if it's a person from Earth 2, and that's going to be the connection to Earth 2?
Do you think then that Atomica got her belt from Ray Palmer? If you're going by that theory?
Kind of going by that theory, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's matches, it's similar, it's the same type of style, but again, it could just be her in that universe and she just did that. But, so those were kind of my theories I was wondering on it. And just because, to me, Luthor seems like it's the obvious answer, and very easily could be. And again, I wouldn't be upset with that because I think it's kind of neat. But whenever I try to figure out something, I always come up with, okay, where else are we at? What else are we going to do with it?
Luthor is the obvious answer because of the fact that in traditional DC history, on Earth 3, Lex Luthor's the good guy. Right. So, I don't know. I mean, that doesn't mean that it has to go that way. I'm with you. There could be other possibilities. And I like that. I'm still thinking it's Luthor, but I don't think it's an accident that he's coming over with a bag over his head. So I don't know. Yeah. That could leave all bets off. I like seeing that end sequence, though, where we go, this world now belongs to the crime syndicate, and that's the cliffhanger they left us with. And you and I were both clearly to the point at this stage where, there's no way we're waiting. It's we had the discussion last night. We were talking about recording. Do we want to read this before the recording? And I remember I didn't. We were both kind of saying we don't want to force the other person to read something that they want to wait for their box to get here for. We could not wait. We wanted to really jump right on this story right away, and which really leads us to Forever Evil #1.
Now, here's my question for you.
Sure.
Before we get into Forever Evil.
Sure, go for
it. With Sea King. Now, did Ultraman kill him, or was it just from their world?
He said he didn't make it, but I guess I could see it with zero issue being that he killed him.
Yeah.
I don't know that I take it that he killed him?
He got blasted in the back, and that's where this crime syndicate came from. So
yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm similarly confused, and I don't mean that in a bad storytelling way. I think these are the kind of people where they're going to be suspect to anything.
Yeah.
So who knows? Did he say something wrong? I don't know. It's clear that the world that they left because there were issues there. So, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to all that. And I think that's something we're going to discover as the story goes on, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if that was the case. Because, if you're saying these guys are evil, which we know they are historically, they would cross those lines without hesitation. So let's talk about Forever Evil issue number 1. Jeff Johns is the writer, David Finch on pencils, Richard Friend on inks, Sonia Oback on colors, Rob Letter, David Finch, Richard Friend, and Sonia Oback on the cover, Ivan Rice, Ibar Ferreira, Joe Prado, Rod Rice, and Tomio Mori on the 3D variant, Ivan Rice, Ibar Ferreira, Joe Prado, and Tomio Mori on the villain variants, and Kate Stewart, the assistant editor, Brian Cunningham, the senior editor. Apologies for name butchery on this issue because, right from the front cover, I was just glued. And it's funny how when the Trinity War was being published, I was all about that. And I was excited about Forever Evil, but I was really into following our heroes. With the ending of the Trinity War, I was salivating for this. Not only was I salivating for this, I was salivating for Villains Month. I want to read all of the Villains issues. I want to see the cast of characters. This is a great way to lead into a huge monthly event with all the books stopping and us getting these, villain takes, but then also giving us this storyline that's furthering what has happened to our heroes. And knowing that this storyline, at the end, all books are going to eventually dovetail into this. This is going to lead to the new status quo of the New 52. Big event, great story. This issue right from the front page, I was just captivated because we've got Lex Luthor, telling us a story, and I didn't know when his arc took place. Had the crime syndicate already taken over, and as we got further into the story, or was this, well before it, we see that this is really Lex's first reality on what has actually happened here. When he takes a look and sees, the world is ours, Metropolis is dark, everything's been shut down, and seeing what that grid was the one that took it offline, that was a really great prologue into the larger story that's being presented here. I thought the pacing of that was brilliant, because you got Lex going after Cord.
Yeah.
I wonder what the relation is to Ted Cord.
I'm assuming the son he's mentioning is Ted Cord.
Yeah.
That's the way I read this. This is how Ted Cord gets, to be in control of Cord Industries.
Okay.
And again, this was just an absolutely wonderful, Luthor story. I especially love the sweet, endearing story he told about his sister's cat, who was stuck in a tree, and he was going to rescue that cat until it scratched him, so he threw it in the river. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then, because you get the close-up, and it's just the eye. You don't know who's telling the story yet until, a couple panels down. Then you say, oh, okay, it's Luthor. All right. And just the calmness that he's sitting there saying how he's going to destroy Cord's life. Not only is he going to kill him, then he's going to get his son addicted on drugs. He's going to have his wife, meet his his widowed wife, brokenhearted, is going to meet the man of her dreams, and just as everything she thinks is going great, son's going to OD and the guy's going to leave her. That's going to drive her to suicide. Just everything just laid out how completely destruction of this man's life, and just very calmly just saying this. And again, it was a really cool Luthor moment, just showing the evil of Luthor. And
hang on. You're right about it being so intimate to his family, but not only that, in the wake of your unfortunate death, I will dissolve your company along with your employees' pensions.
Yeah.
After the federal authorities uncover evidence of your misconduct, and auction off your grandfather's legacy for pennies on the dollar. I mean, he's basically saying every employee you've got, and like this guy seems like a good family man, which means if you think about the way that he probably does business, those people that he mentioned are all people that he cares about on some level. There's probably a lot of them that he's had years of strong relationships with. Some of them perhaps back to the days of his grandfather. So now those people are being taken out of the game as well. I mean, how many more people could Lex possibly handle? Talk about playing a game of chess and just saying, not only checkmate, I blew up the board. Great stuff.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And again, it was one of those moments when as I'm reading this, we went from that big reveal at the end to this. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, is this Earth 3? Is this Earth 2? Is this our Earth? What's going on here? And I love just seeing this play out. And again, there's so many, even though we've already had, this is the first part of the story, there's still mystery, still question. What actually happened to the Justice League? What actually happened to the different heroes? Is, especially seeing Lex, because Lex was involved with the whole Pandora's box thing, and now he's at this point. It was a neat, kind of a neat moment.
I love the way that they handled Dick Grayson in this.
Yes.
Because we'd heard rumors about what was going to happen to Dick Grayson. This is how a comic company plays the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know how devious they were being with this, or if it was just a happy accident or whatever happened. But the way they kept a lid on this, I want to say lid on it, what was actually happening with Dick Grayson, I thought was marvelous. Because here I'm like watching all this, I'm like, they're going to hurt him or kill him, or this is going to be one of those things where, we're going to see them kill Dick Grayson to make an example of him. The fact that it wasn't that, and the way it was handled, woof, especially when the lasso goes around his neck and we see exactly what that is, I just thought that was really, really great.
Oh, yeah. And again, I was also a little bit worried about Grayson as this is playing out because, you go from that moment of them talking and just, him and Barbara talking, and they're just laying out the problems that we know the Bat family is having. And all of a sudden, just everything goes dark. The world is ours. All communication offline. And we see Superwoman standing there ripping the door off of Arkham, freeing the inmates of Arkham Asylum. I was just like, this is awesome. This is a cool moment. And again, it's the villains just completely taking apart the world one at a time. And, it's the piece by piece, you take out you take out the heavy hitters first, knock out communication, and then you give them a message. The only communication, the only electronics happening is coming from them. It's a great way to take over, to conquer. This is classic divide, conquer, and just rebuilding, the world in their image.
I love when we see Ultraman encounter Lex, and Lex still thinking he's dealing with Superman from behind.
Yeah.
And you see, Ultraman picking up the kryptonite and knowing what we didn't know what he was going to do with it. But when he grabbed that, I'm like, is he going to use that to kill Superman? No. Yeah. That's like his drug of choice. Ugh.
Yeah.
And it supercharges him, right?
Yeah, it's, see, I don't know if it made him I don't know if it charged him up as opposed to, I was reading it more like it was a drug.
Jim, so he says, yes, he says, yes, I'm the strongest again.
I took it as not as, I took it as like how a drug, a junkie, when they get the fix, they're like, yeah! That's how I kind of took it. Now, it could be he actually does get supercharged from it because you think green kryptonite hurts our Superman. Green kryptonite would help this Superman. So it definitely could be the fact that it does make him supercharged, but I was initially reading it more like how a junkie feels when they get a fix.
See, I guess I'm kind of wondering if maybe he needs that in order to, our Superman needs the sun. Yeah. I wonder if this has a similar effect for that Superman.
And it definitely could be. That could exactly be how it is, because we see Ultraman is affected by, a negative way by the sun. Right. The sun, the yellow sun burns him, hurts. So if we think opposites of everything, with this character, kryptonite makes him stronger, as opposed to the sun.
I'm looking at the Superman Rebirth Wika.com. So and I did a search for Ultraman and Kryptonite, and you search down, and it does known powers, and it says Kent's powers as Ultraman are based on his body's ability to absorb and process and store anti-Kryptonite's radiation in some way to allow him to do these feats. Kent's power source is Kryptonite native to the specific antimatter universe that he originates from, formerly termed as anti-Kryptonite, which he keeps in a certain storage containers along with his costume to maintain his power levels. Without that constant supply of energy from the anti-Kryptonite, Kent's Ultraman powers would decrease, as does with Superman when kept away from the yellow sunlight. But this depowering is a slow process, thus would require months, if not years, before Kent would be completely depowered. It should be noted that anti-Kryptonite that empowers Kent as Ultraman is not the same as the Kryptonite that depowers Superman. Although, it says Kent of the Antimatter Earth is different from the recently revealed second Antimatter Ultraman, whose power source is the same Kryptonite that depowers Superman. So it looks like they're taking elements from different versions of Ultraman to use this story, and he really is powering himself.
Okay, cool.
This. So I'm guessing, and keep in mind, all of this is pulled from previous storytelling before the New 52. So what elements of this are true or not in our world, I'm not sure, but we're seeming to find that out right now. So I don't know what that looks like, and you might be right too. I don't know, but I wanted to take a look and see because I don't remember the past history of Ultraman as far as that goes, and I read both versions many times, which shows you that obviously I've got a memory like a sieve. So I wanted to take a look on that because I seem to remember there being some link to Kryptonite with him. I think that's really cool. But whatever it looks like, I don't mind if there's changes to it as well. I think that's really cool.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, definitely. And, as I said, if, when I'm reading it, you read it one way, I completely see that now. Or, again, when I read stuff, sometimes I kind of look for an alternate explanation. So that's part of the thing I was thinking about with the junkie and the fix and all that. But, you see it. He says it right there. Yeah, I'm the strongest again. So, and even then he throws out the comm to Grid, find the next location of this, find the next source of this. So he's got to keep finding Kryptonite, which is going to be...
Keep it from everyone else, because he does not want them to know that he has that weakness. But I guess, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I kind of want to validate something that you're saying. Couldn't it be both? Like, couldn't everything you were saying about him being like that junkie with a fix and that type of thing, the behaviors that you're mentioning, couldn't there be both the physical and the psychological element of it? That maybe you're not wrong in what you're saying because of the fact that the Kryptonite is really working? Couldn't it be having that effect? Because I agree with a lot of what you're saying as far as he's exhibiting those behaviors. So I guess I'm wondering if not both things are correct. Like, that has that psychological effect on him as well, especially with the fact that knowing that it charges him up, that confidence would be built more, and it would have a drug user-like psychological effect to him. I really liked that element of it, and I agree with you that it's there. I just think that the Kryptonite's actually working. So I think it's twofold. So I think it's less disputing what you're saying and more that there's more to the story than it just being the junkie aspect of it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's definitely bits and pieces here, bits and pieces there, but it's kind of cool to see. And with the keeping it secret from everybody, once again, these are villains, so they've got to protect their own little secrets. They've got to keep some stuff hidden, because just like with with Batman wanting to make sure he had some type of defense against Superman, Owlman has some type of defense against Ultraman. And as the issues going on, I'm looking for these weaknesses, and because I want Bruce to figure this stuff out, because ultimately I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how is the Justice League going to beat these guys? What can they do against them? You got Superwoman, who's powerful, but I'll tell you, if you put Wonder Woman, if she's, toe-to-toe, I got my money on Wonder Woman just because she's that much cooler of a warrior. Batman versus Owlman, again, I got to go with Bruce and just his level of just who he is. But the whole Ultraman, Superman, those are neat stuff, and what weakens Superman strengthens Ultraman. But the same goes, the effect. You got the sunlight. The sunlight weakens Ultraman, but gives Clark his strength. So you got a couple weapons you can use against Ultraman, and these are I'm gonna be curious to see who pulls out the weapons, who comes up with the ideas, how do they figure this stuff out. And again, it could very easily be the hooded figure that brings in. If that's Lex, he knows their weaknesses. He can start sharing with everybody, start helping and just developing, the defense against these villains.
I love it. The site of the destruction of the Justice League Watchtower is Happy Harbor, which was the original home of the Justice League back in the old universe. I think that's really cool. That whole sequence of them standing there, the crime syndicate, kind of as the triumphant evil Justice League. I'm going to be very curious when this story's done, how the world at large reacts to the Justice League. Is this going to endear their heroes to them more, or is this going to make people more scared? Because I could see that going both ways. In the sense where people go, wow, we should have stood behind them from the get-go because they were able to protect us from something like this. Or is it going to... and it may not be as simple as there being an A or B of that, but many different reactions from people. So,
Well, it was neat seeing the different villains, how they're reacting to this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I always have my theory about how Luthor's going to react to this, that he's not going to be completely overjoyed over the crime syndicate just because... he wants to be the one to conquer the world. And he also doesn't want the world to be destroyed. He's, as he said in the beginning of the story, he was just trying to save the kitten. He's just trying to save humanity. And that's what he's going to do. So I see this Luthor as being, one of the champions for Earth. And that was actually one of the reasons why I started looking elsewhere for who the person under the hooded, the unknown individual could be. Because if, now it could always, as I said, it could be two Luthors, working together. But that's what got me thinking, okay, maybe it's not their Luthor who saves the day. Maybe it's our Luthor plus somebody else. And, working with the Justice League, working with the team. And, the Rogues, another, unknown factor, how they're going to deal with this. Because, when they're going to break Trickster out of Ironhide's prison and Johnny Quick goes in and, fries some people and does, all sorts of nasty craziness, it's still, they're like, this is, you can see them like, okay, what's going on here? And the big meeting, like, yeah, we'll roll along unless we need to go our own ways. If something doesn't play out the way we like it, we're going to bounce. And, I always dig that about the Rogues, just how it's the villains with a code, but it's even beyond that. They're not completely going to blindly follow these people. They're going to make sure they're safe.
I like that there's validation for Luthor in this. Like, I guess what I'm saying, like, Luthor, I totally agree with you that he's not going to be happy about this, but I'm going to go the other end and say he's going to be angered by this. And I think he'll play this out the way that Lex would. But this is really what he's been threatening, but with the alien.
Yeah.
It's coming to fruition. And for him, this is what he's been trying to prevent all along because he saw this coming with Superman. So now he's going to have to go after a Superman that he really doesn't know. Do you think the Justice League is really dead? And when I say obviously we've seen Batman to a certain extent, but do you think everyone's really? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Because on one hand, I would say the crime syndicate would have to kill them, and I was trying to figure out a reasoning why they wouldn't, and I can't come up with something. So if they're still physically alive, I'm going to be curious to see why the syndicate, there had to be a reason why the syndicate would leave them alive, and it's, it can't just be to, because you see them when they pull up a Nightwing. And they don't kill Nightwing right then and there. Instead, they reveal his identity and say, yeah, we're going to kill everybody who knows and loves him, and then we'll kill him. we want him to suffer beforehand. And it could be as simple as that's why they haven't killed the rest of the Justice League, because they want them to suffer first. But on the other hand, I don't know if it is. And there is still the mystery of what happened between Part 6 of Trinity War and Part 1 of Forever Evil. Now, I know we're going to see it eventually. We're going to see it when the heroes make their appearance and everything plays out. Part of me wonders if, because Batman was calling for a regroup, maybe the Justice League got the heck out of there. And, they did regroup somewhere, and they got away from the crime syndicate. Either, I was thinking maybe jumping through the doorway and going to Earth 3, or jumping through, somewhere else and going and hiding. I didn't know exactly where or how or whatnot, but I don't think they're actually dead, but I don't know how they're still alive. I think that's the part of the story I'm really looking forward to, and I'm very excited to kind of get an understanding to it.
Here's what makes me believe they're not dead at all. The fact that instead of bodies, we see a trident, we see a cape, we see a lasso. There's no body anywhere.
Yeah.
Why would you throw those things out when you could throw out the body? Far more powerful, this is Batman.
Yes.
This is Superman. I mean, standing over Superman's dead body his cape's pretty useful as a kind of, hey, look what we got tool. Obviously, we got this because we took down Superman. A lot more powerful, you got the man's body. To have our Trinity, the three big wigs, and two of them, actually. We also know that Batman, we've seen him on the covers.
Yeah.
So we know that Batman's operating. So that's going to be interesting to see what's going on with him. Because I do believe firmly now that is our Batman, that he's somehow up and running, and he's part of the Resistance. I wonder if, though, Superman's not out of the game, he's just hurt because of the kryptonite poisoning. Because he's still got kryptonite in the brain.
Yeah,
who's going to remove that?
Yeah, well, Element Woman said she probably could get to it,
but we haven't seen that.
She would go to gas, and then she could get to it that way. But again, it would take process, it would take recovery, and who knows if they're going to have the time to actually do it? How are they? Because medical triage is always a tough thing. When you're fighting a war like this, and again, these are stories, these are things that run through my head. Now, the one moment I kind of chuckled at was the villain Monocle. They should have put a red shirt on him because. As soon as I saw him just smart mouthing off the Ultraman, I was like, okay, here's the first victim. Junk, fricassee Monocle.
Did you notice Superwoman's lasso? Like the detail on that? I really like that.
It's more barbed wire.
Yeah, I really like that.
I love that, yeah. Now, do we know that Superwoman is from Amazon, or is she a different character? Because I'm not 100% certain on what is the crimes, who are the crime syndicate, and all those stories. Because I didn't know if she was, I know she's their version of Wonder Woman, but is it Diana of the Amazons?
There's two different versions and this is going to be where it gets tricky. There was the Earth 3 version, the traditional Earth 3 one, which was like Wonder Woman. She was an Amazon. And similar powers, except that it looks like her lasso could change shape. But then looking at the antimatter Earth, this was Amazon by birth, but she took on the alias of Lois Lane. So it looks like it was a combination of, but the disguise resembles Wonder Woman's identity of Diana Prince. So I'm kind of looking over a lot of this stuff just to see what it was. And Grant Morrison was saying, I guess, in an interview that both versions existed in the previous continuity after the countdown to Final Crisis. So I don't know. I don't know if it seems like they're merging elements of the antimatter version and the Earth 3 version when they're bringing these in. So they're taking probably the best bits, but I don't know. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I like her as the Amazon. Just the kind of you could very easily take Wonder Woman's current story and just darken it up a bit and make her a bit evil. So it's kind of a neat. Again, I want more about this, and I'm looking. This has me very excited. I didn't know where it was going to go, what was going to happen, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. And the fact that they're still doing some really cool swerves, stuff I didn't see coming. Like, I did not really, when they pulled up Richard and they showed, and then they revealed his identity. that kind of had me going, holy crud. And I love the fact that, Lex is going, Richard Grayson, who the heck is, Richard Hale? And then boom, all the information on him pops up. So it's not just saying this is who it is. Here, this is definitely who he is. So no matter what happens, Nightwing's identity is out there. It's been revealed. And, that's another question. What's going to happen after everything is said and done? Or are they actually going to kill off Nightwing? Is it, are they going to get rid of him? I hope not. I think Nightwing's awesome. But where's this going to play out? How is this going to get resolved? How is the good guy going to win this? I have no idea where the story's going to go. And I think that is part of my excitement, that I don't know. I have no, real fathomable idea of how this is going to play out. And that kind of has the excitement level for me.
I like that I'm worried about Nightwing.
Yes.
Like, there's a sense of danger. The reveal of his identity, regardless of what happens here, is a status quo change. And I really think the issue here is that our heroes aren't dead for whatever reason. Nightwing is being held and used as, I think, kind of their validation that, look at what we did to Nightwing, one of your heroes. Because Monocle's saying, Justice League isn't dead.
Yeah.
All we've seen are objects. They aren't dead. They're right here. These guys are the Justice League. And when Ultraman kind of validates, hey, look, I don't operate the way Superman does, I think they captured Nightwing to use him as the body I was mentioning earlier. Yeah. He's the physical body to show, look, we took down your heroes. We'll give you an example. Here's one of them right here. Look what we did to this guy. And just as a swerve, we're going to give you his real name.
And also he could be, if Batman is running the Resistance, which it would make sense. This right here is wonderful bait. And Owlman would know that because on their Earth, Richard Grayson was Owlman's sidekick. So they know that Bruce would be protective, that Bruce would, do something to try to rescue Nightwing. And so this could all also be just a great way to bait the trap to try to pull out the Justice League, who maybe aren't dead, who are still on Earth, but are hiding somehow, some way. If you think about it, they did have Zatanna with them and Madame Xanadu, so two very powerful magic users who could have blinked the people out of there. And also Constantine as well. They've got a couple magic ways, and we haven't really seen the crime syndicate use any type of magic. So that could be a way they could have gotten away from them, and they could have hidden themselves. Because this is, it's, again, you think resistant movements. You got to keep mobile. You got to keep, your strike forces, and you got to build your time. First thing the heroes have to do is they have to establish communication. They have to regroup. They have to get organized. I love the moment showing the Teen Titans going, what the hell? You don't think the Justice League is really dead, do you, Robin? We're going to find out. There's a lot going on, and these different heroes are going to start popping up, and they're going to have to fight, and I want to see where they play out. And just, again, this is some cool stuff, man. This is neat.
Well, I love that they're making an example of Dick Grayson. And honestly, here's one of the things that it almost ties them back to Lex Luthor at the beginning. Grayson has many friends, many places he calls home. We know them all. We will hunt down and destroy everything this Richard Grayson cares about. All who would oppose us. You risk not your lives, but the lives of those you cherish, your family, your friends, your neighbors, will die while you watch. But you are our allies, our secret society, our army. We have watched your world. It is a world very different from our own. A world that wastes its time protecting the weak. Your world fights against the most basic rule of evolution, natural selection. The progression of the human race has been halted by allowing those who offer society nothing to continue to consume, procreate, and breathe. This place has allowed the inadequate, incompetent, and ignorant to thrive. The destitute are winning, but the war is not over. You are the strongest there are. You were given your power for a reason. Join us, and we will take this world together. Forever. Wow. Really good stuff. But it shows that the crime syndicate has put up a heck of a smokescreen. And they used Dick Grayson to validate it.
Yeah. Oh, big time. And it's funny because you'll hear in just regular everyday society people talking about exactly what he's saying. Where like, oh, these special interest programs, this and that, and you'll hear people complain about helping the poor, helping why are we helping this impoverished country? Why are we sending over millions of dollars in aid, and just why are we doing this? Well, you're kind of seeing what happens here, where when you don't do that, if you go by the only the strong survive, it was a really cool kind of this moment and a political statement, but it wasn't trying to overtly being this, the rich people are bad, the evil. This is, you must help everybody. No, it's a more of a subtle play, and I thought that was kind of a neat kind of moment and connection.
I agree. I like that part of the story. This really, to me, the anticipation that's been built from this, the ending with Lex Luthor realizing that, wow, this is a job for Superman. This is like way over my head. I'm sure he never thought that he would see himself calling for Superman. He's going to have to create a rally point here.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see how this all plays out.
One other moment I got to throw out there
that
I absolutely loved was Penguin and Bane talking about the Joker. I love the fact that it was Penguin saying the Joker's here. He's just wearing somebody else's face. He's going to start trouble, Bane. The maniac hates structure. And Bane, if the Joker starts anything, Penguin, I will break him the way Batman should have. And I thought that was kind of a neat moment of two Gotham villains together looking after this society, looking after this structure, trying to figure out where this is going to play out. What's going to happen to Gotham? Will these two lay down to Owlman, or will they say, no, we run Gotham? And it's, again, and also, where the heck is the Joker in all this?
Well, we're going to find out in this storyline, I'm sure. And I really want to see that. Because he's in one of the issues of, those would be the issues that would describe kind of the backstory of the character.
Right. If
it goes according to what the other ones have. But, the eclipse is the other thing we forgot to mention. I love that eclipse.
Yes.
The idea that Ultraman's, the sun stings me, I lose my powers from it, so we're just going to cover it up with this little thing.
Yeah, move the moon in place. Boom. But now my question is, solar charged battery, is this going to be a weapon form they can use against him? Or is it just direct sunlight?
We're going to find out.
Yeah, because immediately I'm thinking, okay, what kind of weapons can we do? We know kryptonite doesn't work. That just makes them stronger. So if sunlight burns, maybe solar power or something, solar battery or solar energy, or we figure out a way to move the moon away from the sun and get us, again, regular sunlight.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that one. I think just the whole concept is pretty awesome.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's funny, we got so excited for this event that the two of us had talked about reading Forever Evil #1, and then we each had a chance to read one of the issues of the villain books. And your book is, Jim, the one that you read was, go ahead.
Well, I went with Green Lantern, Relic, issue number 23.1. And it was... as I said, I picked up this stuff digitally, and I saw it. I'm like, oh, let me jump on this one. And I tell you, oh man, Relic is a cool villain because, like other really cool villains, he doesn't see what he's doing as wrong. He's trying to save the universe. This is a guy who comes from a universe that fell because of the Lantern Bearers, because of the Lightsmiths, as he calls them. Another universe that had they weren't Green Lanterns, they weren't lanterns, they had more power staffs, and looks like a couple maces, but the color patterns were still the same. You still had your fear, you had your resolve, you had your faith, your compassion. It was they called it fury, passion, resolve, empathy, faith, terror. But all the different, and gluttony for, greed. So they had the same style, and it was the same, the same power structure. The red had the immortality because their light replaced the heart. You had teleportation with the Indigo tribe. You had healing from the blue, the constructs from green, etc. The full layout, but because these lightsmiths ended up ultimately destroying their own universe because they tapped into the energy that is the full cosmos. There is, an ultimate power source for all the Green Lantern light, for all the emotion that they charge through, and this universe used it up. And Relic was a scientist, a simple, trying to warn them, hey, we're going to kill ourselves. You got to stop this. And sure enough, they did destroy the universe. And as he's escaping from his dying universe, he came into ours, and he immediately saw we have the same problem. So he's going into this thinking, hey, I've got to save this universe. I couldn't save mine, but I have to save this one. And that's his sole motivation behind what he's doing. So it's cool to see our quote-unquote main villain really isn't a villain. He's trying to save the universe. And the only way he can save it is by destroying the cores, unfortunately. And, the cores aren't just going to back down. You got to take out all the people. And it's one of those where you start getting compassionate and you start understanding where these villains are coming from and what they're doing. I was just like, this is a cool exploration of this guy.
The book I grabbed was Action Comics 23.1, which was the Cyborg Superman issue. And it was a character who we haven't seen in the New 52. And it was kind of cool to get his backstory. Do you remember when Brainiac was doing what he was doing with the city of Argo?
Yeah.
And Zor-El was, saying, help is coming, Brainiac will come?
Yeah.
That wasn't a throwaway.
Ooh.
Zor-El is Cyborg Superman.
Nice.
What happened was... There's a lot of backstory about the two brothers kind of debating over science, and Jor-El clearly being the superior scientist. And this is something that Brainiac recognizes. But there is a survival skill to Zor-El, and Brainiac recognizing that he can improve. But recognizing that the mental and emotional weakness of Zor-El is something that is no longer needed, he wipes the dude's mind completely. So he turns him into a drone and puts in, because he's from the same DNA strand as Jor-El, puts in elements of Jor-El, of what made, not in the sense that he is Jor-El, but elements of what Brainiac considers to be the strong suit of the DNA of Jor-El. So that's why he looks more like Superman than he does Zor-El. So it's an interesting, he rebuilt him basically, took out the weakness and imperfections from the fact that he was hurt in the battle and that type of thing, and turns him into a cyborg, mindless drone, who basically is programmed to seek out more soldiers for Brainiac, more of the people, like the best of the best from certain worlds, to create an army for Brainiac. So that's his sole purpose. So he goes from race to race looking for people who are worthy to survive, to be turned into what he is. And his criteria is very high. He encounters this alien race where there's a caste system where the surface dwellers are kind of your lower class. They tend to be your worker class, different things like that. And he encounters a lot of the poor people who are begging for their lives and things like that. So he basically doesn't deem them worthy. When he encounters one of them, he says, well, where are your better people? Where are your best of your race? Who are the leaders, the mental, giants, your scientists, your people that are really making a difference? And they're floating in the sky. He shows up there, and they're making fun of him because, it's one of the surface dwellers who somehow got a jetpack, and man, is this an ugly one? And he makes short work of them and doesn't find what he's looking for there. Because he finds one of them, he says, you've got a choice here. He's holding him over the edge, and he's saying, either you can survive or your friends can. Which is it going to be? And the guy, begs for his own life. Well, because of that, Cyborg Superman wipes out the friends that were still on the floating city. And the guy's crying and saying, I didn't know you would do that. I didn't know you would kill them. And Cyborg Superman said, I didn't. You did. this guy's begging and weeping and, couldn't handle it. Cyborg Superman just kills him because he goes, you're not worthy. Then he finds two brothers later on, hands him like a bar, a metal bar or a wooden bar, whatever, some kind of bat-like thing. And he goes to them, the one of you that can survive will be worthy to survive. The way to survive is to kill your brother. So the two of them got to duke it out. And basically the brothers were struggling for food. And he said, I will give you the food you need to survive, if you're the survivor. So the one brother kills the other brother, and Cyborg Superman, like, shish kebabs the brother. And basically says, there's your sustenance. I meant what I said. It's going to be your brother. And the other brother obviously breaks down, weeping from that as well. So the cool part about this story, and what I really enjoyed about it is, amidst everything that I'm saying, there were cutscenes in between showing what happened with Zor-El, showing how he basically, in order for his daughter to survive, he betrayed the love of his wife by sending her up using Jor-El's technology, because Zor-El's thinking was, I can create this shield over Argo that's going to protect us all. But because he ultimately realized through discussions with his wife that he isn't the scientist that his brother is, he sent his daughter in using Jor-El's technology. That's why Kara survived. The wife even, chastises him as being the less superior scientist and all that. And it was interesting to see the playoff between the two brothers, being the brother who's constantly in the shadow of the great Jor-El, who is known for his discoveries. I just thought it was really great. It was an interesting twist. I love the traditional Cyborg Superman story. So for me, when I started realizing early on that this wasn't going to be the traditional Cyborg Superman, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. Halfway through the story, I'm like, oh, I don't want anything else right now. That was the great thing about it is, quickly the story was so well crafted that I love this new version of Cyborg Superman, and I get it. It doesn't diminish what I loved from the previous version of him. I thought that was super cool. But this is really great, and it goes back again to elements that we've seen developed all along in the New 52 with the history of Argo. Great use of the history of Argo here to develop a Cyborg Superman that has an interesting twist. What happens when he encounters his daughter? Is his memory really gone? Is there ever going to be a time where we see him reconnect with that? Is the daughter going to, if let's say his mind is wiped permanently, is the daughter going to connect with that?
Well, Supergirl 23, we see those two interact.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because, I just recently read it, and the ending is a reveal that, he is, they go through a whole process, and it's Cyborg Superman's like, I am, so-and-so. And it was a reveal, but it's funny because when I read it, it was just the final page. So I didn't know if it was just a manipulation, if he was her father, or if it was just because everything that was playing out in that story, there was some manipulation happening. So it's kind of neat saying, oh, it is actually him. Okay. Now I got to read that story.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm seeing about that was, like, he might know who he is, but does he know who he is what I'm saying. Because from the way this story plays out, there's no way to tell if he actually knows who he really is or not.
Because the construction in the Supergirl was based on Supergirl's memories, to kind of rebuild his body.
Yeah.
Because that's why I didn't know if he was 100% was actually her father, or if it was just because taking it from her memories, taking it from her DNA is what created it. But we see that he definitely is, actually, and this is why it happened, and this is how it played out. So that's kind of neat.
I guess my wondering is, are they really his memories or are they hers? I guess we're saying the same thing in a different. I guess we're saying the same thing in a different way. I like that. Like, the strong part of me believes that because of the fact that he's connected with his daughter, that has restored his memories. That part's really cool. But there's that other part of me that's wondering is, did it really restore his memories? Or is it just her memories that are there? I don't know. It's that kind of stuff always gets kind of heady for me, and but here's what it does. It makes me really curious to read Supergirl number 24, when you see the actual origin of Cyborg Superman, that he is, in fact, really the father, that his memory was wiped. Like, I guess, what is your feeling on that? Like, if your memories are restored through an encounter with somebody else, it's actually their memories, their DNA memories of you that are implanted. Is that the same thing? Do you think it is?
It can't be 100% the same thing, because we each perceive things differently. You know,
Right.
my memory of a certain event is completely different than what my dad's memory of it or my brother's memory of it. You know, I'm going to look at things just a little bit differently. I'm going to remember things just a little bit different way, and I'll never, know exactly how they dealt with it, or how they saw it. And it's, like my family used to always go camping, and each one of us would be sitting, went to the exact same place, did the exact same thing, but we each remember a little different piece of it. We remember things playing out a different way, or have, either a fond or not so fond memory of the events that happened. So, her mind of what her dad did and what he experienced is going to be completely different than how he did it. And there's going to be cross-contamination if it's somebody else other than the true original source. But if there is no original source, then it's kind of like the clone argument. Is a clone a real person? If I make a clone of me, and I die, and then there's only the clone, is he truly me, or is he a different entity altogether?
Well, I guess, and we're going to have to put a spoiler warning out about Supergirl number 23, obviously, because I guess there's that other part of me that's thinking right now, and I guess I'm probably leaning more in this direction now with it, because the more I think about it, Supergirl's DNA was dissolved to reconstruct his body.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that through that reconstruction, didn't restore his brain. He, as a dad, has to generally realize, I just killed my daughter to save myself.
Yeah.
What will he do? What will he be willing to do in order to bring her back? Will he sacrifice himself to be Cyborg Superman? Will that be his tragedy, that he can never restore himself? He has to give that up in order to bring his daughter back to life? Because he really is, his DNA has been restored, his body's been restored because of his interactions with his daughter. It put back in the missing pieces of him that were there. And the only way that worked was by combining with the remaining elements of his DNA that were there. So I guess there's a part of me that feels that because Kara's DNA filled in the blanks of his, it is him.
Yeah.
He is restored. He's going to have to deal with that as a dad. Like, is this going to be his chance to be heroic? I don't know. I love the story. I just think it's a very cool twist.
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited to read 24. I wanted to read it anyways, just because I wanted to see what happens to her. And,
right.
I'm like, you can't kill her off. What the heck, So, but...
And I was trying to dance around Supergirl 23. I was like, well, how much are we going to talk about this? So I was trying to explain it without revealing what happens in Supergirl 23, which is really stupid. Because, you can't help but talk about the story that's going on in Supergirl number 23, because it does leave a father with an interesting conundrum. Would you go back to being the horror of Cyborg Superman to save your daughter?
And you think about just with Cyborg Superman, especially at the end, of the previous universe, I always felt, sympathetic, towards him, because he, you had that character who just, when we went through the color war, he just wanted to die. He just wanted to be destroyed. And every time he thinks he's about to die, somebody brings him back. And he's just like, just let me die, dang it. Just let me die. And, I felt terrible for him that he was just this tragic character. And this is going to add to that tragedy where he is finally free. He is safe, but he killed his own daughter to do it. So I'm seeing the dad make the sacrifice to bring back Supergirl. And the $1 million question is, will Cyborg Superman remember that he was human? He saved himself, but he had to sacrifice that for his daughter. Or will Cyborg Superman not realize, who he is, what happened, and just everything that played out there?
Yeah.
One other thing I didn't mention when I was talking about the relic issue, And it probably should get mentioned. They brought back the concept of that giant wall, that vast wall that encircles the universe. Because Relic was initially looking for this ultimate power source of the color lights, of the spectrums, and he, in his exploration of the entire universe, came across it. So, and even when the universe died, that's what broke down. That's what finally opened up, and that's how he crossed universes, was when his universe was destroyed, the wall broke down, it sucked him through into the current universe. So it's kind of neat that they had this, again, a classic concept bringing into effect. Now, the look and appearance is kind of different than anything, than what I was kind of used to, where it looked like just giant faces and bodies and whatnot. But this, again, it's kind of, this that neat concept of the wall of the universe. And he was studying it. It was because everything that touched it became part of the wall. So all his probes were useless, because as soon as it came in contact with the wall, as soon as it started, interacting with it, it was absorbed and became part of the wall. So it's, again, I'm kind of neat just to, these explorations of other universes. And I don't know if you call this another Earth, because it's really not, or is this another universe? What exactly is this notion?
I don't know. That's one of the things that I'm really loving about the storytelling in the New 52 right now. They've got so many diverse books going on at the moment that you're getting a lot of really cool concepts that really, there's no other way to say it. These are really cool concepts that explore DC to me is always one of those things where it can go anywhere, it can do anything. And when you've got multiple Earths, when you've got multiple dimensions, when you're able to play with magic and superpowers and the fact that there's this rich long history with like demon knights and stuff like that, and all-star western, and you can really tell any kind of story that any creator wants to tell, because there aren't limits. There isn't a cap on the kind of storytelling you can do. I think that's an essential piece of DC Comics storytelling that just has to be a part of it. I don't know. To me, I think during the years when they thought it was best to streamline the continuity and they eliminated the concept of multiverse, they tried to stop, with other dimensions and things like that. They were really limiting creators' storytelling. They thought it would lead to more continuity. That never does. I think the difference between there being continuity that makes sense and continuity that doesn't make sense is a story told by somebody. Anything that's like confusing continuity-wise, a good writer can come in and sort it out for you and just say, hey, this is what's really happening. And they can clear that up with a good creative idea. There's always a way to do that. It might be a crossover, it might be a mini-series, it could be a single issue of a book that just clears up, a few continuity errors along the way. Somebody who's clever can do that. We do that as readers all the time. So this kind of stuff being brought in when you're talking about other dimensions and things like that, I love that kind of stuff.
Now, let me ask you a question, throw out just a general idea.
Okay.
What if you, Sean Whalen, were living in the DC universe, within the universe of superheroes and whatnot and all that wonder, and you saw everything that's playing out with Ultraman, and how would you approach this? How would you go about with survival, where you're now in a world where these superpowered villains run everything?
Well, that becomes a real tricky part, because you're basically being told, when you see what happens to Nightwing, I think that's very telling. And this is where the villains know what they're doing. You can be heroic when the danger is only to yourself, where you can say, any move I make is only going to affect me. Jumping in front of a speeding bus or a truck to pull a child out of the way who's in the middle of the road or something. You know what I mean? Those type of things where you could potentially be hit, you may get hit, or whatever, saving a life. It affects you. The backlash to your family is an emotional one. That's very deep, and that's a huge problem. But you know that's going to, at the time, it's going to be an emotional backlash. It's not going to be, it's something that they can move past. In the case of the crime syndicate, they're going to torture, maim, destroy, kill, make examples of everyone that Dick Grayson knows to show that you'd rather die than be one of our prisoners. So in that world, things where you want to say, I would step up, I would help people, I would do this, I would do that, I don't know what I'd do. Like, I like to help people. Like, somebody's in danger or something like that, I'd like to think it's, the person to me that's always liked heroic stories, that you'd even want to be a part of an underground, if that makes sense. We're going to meet in secret and do all that.
Yeah.
In this world, though, wow, what do you do? Do you take part in things like that, knowing that if you're caught being a part of any kind of underground resistance, they're not likely to kill you. They're more likely, or if they do kill you, they're likely to maim, torture, destroy all of the people you know in horrid ways, anybody that remotely associated with you. If you gave a coupon to somebody at Giant Eagle, that person's more than likely, just because you gave them a coupon, going to be like going through horrible things because they at some point in time made contact with you on even that limited level. That's the kind of people the sick people you're dealing with. That's going to quickly, when more and more of that happen, make you say, I kind of don't want to get involved in any of this kind of stuff. I don't know what I'd do. I'd like to think that if I thought I could be a part of an underground resistance, that I would find a way to do that and try to find a way to do that to protect your family. But again, these are heroes who can see through walls. I mean, villains, I should say. They can see through walls that can, shrink down to incredibly tiny sizes and be hiding in a corner. Everything they do, and they're super speedsters where you wouldn't even have time to see them coming. They would be there before you could blink. So what do you do? I don't know.
What you do is, yay, evil!
Yeah, what do you got to do?
President of the Ultraman fan club right here.
And really hope that they feel that either you are a benefit or insignificant enough that you're not worth noticing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy, crazy stuff.
And the other side of that is, because I'm joking around about, being the Ultraman fan club. He, you wonder, would he even like something like that? Would that disgust him? Would that say, what are you trying to do? You think I'm an idiot that I can't see through your disguise? I'm going to kill you for that. Or, when they talk about the survival of, the strong, survival of the fittest, just only the strong survive, are they talking about, I've got a couple cans of goods, I've got a can of soup that I share with my neighbor who's got nothing. Well, you just showed you're weak. Not really. I'm just, helping the person next to me. No, you can't do that. It's only your survival. How far does that go out? Could I, gather my family under one roof, and, surround, sit back to back, ready to come. If anybody tries anything at us, we take them down, or would they consider that, wrong? Where is the line that goes? I think that is going to be, I hope we get signs of just the everyday average person. Because, we're going to see, I'm hoping we'll see Jim Gordon dealing with this world, dealing with this universe, because he's, one, a connection to Dick Grayson, two, his daughter's a connection to Dick Grayson, even not considering the fact that they probably know she's Batgirl, just Barbara Gordon is connected to Dick Grayson. So you have that whole thing. Are they going to go after the Graysons? Are they going to go after any and all law enforcement and military? Because you naturally think, hey, if you're a cop, you're not gonna be with us. You're gonna be against us. So let me take you out now. Or does the crooked cop say, hey man, I've been on the take for years. I'm one of you guys. No, you're not. You're fried. It's these type of things that when I started just thinking and looking at it, kind of started just flying through my head, and I don't know. There's so much. I'd love to see this be a maxi series or its own monthly. Just showing us this evil world would be really kind of cool.
Yeah. I think that's going to be largely a lot of the experience with this is just wanting to see more and more of what this... It reminds me of... Did you read the Marvel Age of Apocalypse?
Yes, I did.
It reminds me a lot of that. And I want to... When I say reminds me, I'm not saying it's a clone by any stretch. But where it reminds me of that is you've taken the world and it's shifted. Not quite to that extreme. And actually, to me, it's it's bold in its own way because it's our world right now, and this is really happening. Like, I don't see a magic wand Band-Aid fixing this. I think this, when all is said and done with this, especially because there's nothing right now that makes me think that what is happening here will be undone. Like, the crime syndicate taking over the Earth right now will have happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they haven't killed anybody except for the Monocle, who, like, I'm like, they, you know, they can't really undo that. They didn't kill Dick Grayson. They could do some horrible things to Dick Grayson's world, and Dick Grayson will have to deal with the reeling of that after the fact. Batman can still save him if that's what's going to happen. So I can't help but wonder if this crazy event, as we see it now, isn't going to become part of canon.
You know, I'm wondering something.
Sure.
The person under the hood, another possibility throwing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Booster Gold. What if this can be fixed? What if this can be changed? One simple event of a temporal time travel, you know, either after Pandora's box is released and just, you know, somebody else gets a hold of it, or somewhere along the lines preventing, you know, this, you know, everything. Because you think back to when, you know, that we had the big kiss between Superman and Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. We saw a time traveling booster try to prevent it from happening, and he failed. You know, what if he did actually succeed and those two never got together? You know, could that somehow change the pattern of activity that happened and actually do, you know, prevent, you know, because if you think about it, if Diana wasn't so hardcore, hoorah, I've got to find out who, you know, what happened to Superman? I've got to find Pandora. I've got to take down Pandora because it's all Pandora's fault. What if, you know, if she didn't have that strong motivation because she wasn't dating Superman, because they weren't a couple? Would she have handled it differently? Would she not have led the outsider to where Pandora was at, or led the outsider to where Pandora's box is?
Pandora's box would have found... I disagree with you. Pandora's box would have found another way to attack her. I don't think not having him there would have changed her need to go after the box, because the box was driving that. It wasn't one. It preyed on the most upfront weakness, right. But I don't think like that would have made Wonder Woman all of a sudden infallible. There would have been other things for the box to attack that it would have gone over instead. It would have played out differently, granted, but it still would have played out.
It could be, yeah. But, you know, one of the things I think about is the outsider used them to find the relic. He knew about it, but he couldn't get his hands on it. So he used the heroes. So if he didn't have that one little piece to manipulate, maybe she would have, you know, because Bruce didn't want her running off all crazy. Hold on, let's focus. Let's think this through. Maybe if they had that moment of thinking through, maybe if there wasn't that clouded. You know, because you think about it, if Wonder Woman wasn't present when Superman was first corrupted, she wouldn't have known who was behind it. He would have said, "Hey, I was attacked, this thing, this energy force, hit me," and then maybe things could have played out differently. I don't know.
I guess I don't see it being resolved that way, and here's the reason why I don't see it being resolved that way. That would have no impact on the universe, other than the fact that Superman and Wonder Woman wouldn't date. Which, with the fact that there's a series coming out called Wonder Woman and Superman, I don't see that being the way that they're going to go, where they don't have a relationship. But let's take that out of the equation, too. If this actually happens, let's say this actually happened, there's a resolution to all this, but it's only going to come from all of these combustibles banding together and finding a way to resolve it. Because so far, we have seen nothing to indicate that the heroes are actually dead. So right. That would provide the opportunity for the heroes to eventually rally and overtake and maybe return the villains home. What has a greater impact on the universe for storytelling to follow this than it actually happening?
Yes. Oh, I
like your. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm throwing out the idea as just a thought that just literally popped in my head as we were talking. I'm shooting from the cuff when I come up with this idea. And my thought process is the Justice League went into hiding immediately. They regrouped. That's why Crime Syndicate didn't have them. We're going to get a resistance fighting. Maybe we're going to get Luthor from the other Earth, helping out. We're going to do something. They're going to push him onto the planet, and we're going to end up with Dick Grayson's identity revealed. That's where I actually, if I had to, say, okay, Jim, put your money down. What do you think is going to be the story? That's the story I'm putting my money on. I think it's going to be a Justice League resistance type movement and fighting back and driving the evil force out of the earth. And Grayson's identity is public now because it went out there. It's, I can't see them being able to change that. Now, where does that take Grayson? I don't know. Do they, quote unquote, kill off Dick Grayson? And the character that is now known as Dick Grayson goes under a new identity. Or Nightwing, they make a change to Nightwing and make it look like he's somebody else. And the person that the Crime Syndicate revealed isn't really him. Who knows? Will they develop a new secret identity or will he be public? Heroes can go public, but there's a lot of, questions. Because you could very easily explain why Dick Grayson, who was the ward of Bruce Wayne, ended up working for Batman, because Bruce has already said, hey, I funded the Batman project. So naturally, if he's funding Batman, Batman sees this acrobatic kid saying, hey, I can train him, I can teach him to be my Robin. So there is a way to have Dick Grayson's identity be public without messing up Bruce Wayne's secret identity. He's just, because Bruce has that connection to Batman, that's how Grayson got into the picture. So they could very easily go forward with a public identity for Dick Grayson. I think that'll be that would be also a really neat story on how he handles it.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that. So to me, it's almost like if you undo this, that means you undo the opportunity to tell some interesting stories with that. Because I'm very curious to see how that's going to be resolved.
Oh, yeah.
And if you magic wand that, which could very well happen, I agree with you. But if you do that, you lose the opportunity to go, uh-oh, Forever Evil's over. But, and here's my question. Besides what the reveal is with Dick Grayson, what else are they going to mess with? Because I think there's more opportunity for the Crime Syndicate to do damage that will have lasting effect. If it really happens instead of being magic wanded.
Whitewash.
Yeah. So, I mean, this was only the first issue.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in the rest of them? I think that's cool. I really do.
Oh, God, yeah. I am very, very excited for this series, and they're going to obviously collect all this stuff, and this is one that I am picking up immediately when this is collected, and I want this in apps. I'm already making room on my absolute shelf for this in absolute.
Yeah, Finch's artwork was really good in this one. The
whole
and I should say the whole art team, because and you've got an artist and an inker and colorists that really mesh well together like this, and you get a story it's really cool. This is it's a very beautiful book that I'm really enjoying right now.
Oh, big time.
Is there anybody that's a villain that you think, besides the Rogues and Luthor, that you think might be on the side of the Angels, considering the current situation?
Well, obviously Catwoman, and I don't know if I'm actually pulling up the Forever Evil right now, and I wanted to see if because I know she's on the cover, but I don't remember seeing her in the big spread of all the villains together. But if she's there, then she's definitely somebody I could see doing
a swerve.
Doing a swerve. I kind of, I'm also Billy, because Billy's definitely there if he gets, uncorrupted somehow, if he's able to clean, do the purging. There's always Deadshot, who, he's another one of those villains with a code where I could see him as well. And a lot of the and even I see some of the Gotham villains going against, this pact, just because they don't like being told what to do. So I could see them, rising up against this, saying, hey, you're not our Batman. You're not our villain, and we don't have to listen to you. We're in charge of our city. So there's definitely those type of characters could throw a little monkey wrench in this, and I don't see Catwoman anywhere. So I'm assuming she's hanging with the heroes wherever they are.
She could be an infiltrator, though.
Yeah. Well, if she shows up and they trust her.
Oh, wait. You know why they won't, Jim?
Why?
She already infiltrated the secret society and proved she was untrustworthy.
Oh, yeah.
So why would they trust her now?
Yeah, true. Okay.
So I don't know. It's gonna be a fun ride. I really think it's gonna be a fun ride. This is where events work.
It's neat just going through the different images, and it's funny because there's half a dozen of these people. I have no idea who the heck they are. And I'm like, okay, who's that? They're over there. What? And so I'm curious to see how far they're going to go with these characters and where they're going to pull from, and just the what's next.
Well, I'm gathering that most of them we're going to figure out who they are from their appearance during Villains Month right now.
Right.
That's I think where a lot of them are going to come from. Not every single one of them that were there are going to be in there, but I think we're going to see a lot of them in Villains Month, and I'm excited for that.
Holy caffeine!
I want to remind everyone about RagingBullets.com. And over RagingBullets.com, we have a great article that's published regularly called Direct Currents 2.0. It's done by friend of the show, Jim Durden, and he puts one out almost every week. It's a wonderful article. He talks about everything from classic comics to current contemporary news. The one that he put up tonight has commentary on the recent Batwoman news. So it's a great column to check out. RagingBullets.com is also where I post news on the show. Any updates. I have that linked to Twitter as well. So if you're a Twitter fan, you can get direct links from Twitter straight back to our website. We also have a Raging Bullets Facebook page, and all of the show website updates are also sent to our Facebook page. So you have a lot of different options through social media to connect with us. We do have a Google Plus page as well. And we have a wonderful Facebook group community. And the people that post there, they post about things, obviously DC Comics related, but also all about things from all across pop culture. It's just a great community of people. I'm proud to be a part of it. And I just want to thank everyone for being a part of the show community. I also want to remind everybody our show voicemail line. It's 1-440-388 4434 or drnorge on Skype. We are all caught up on voicemails, and as soon as we get more in, we will be putting them back on the show. Sponsoring this episode, once again, is DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. I want to remind everyone over at DCBService.com to check out that DC Kids bundle and the Vertigo bundle for 50% off deals. But also, I want to remind everyone to link their digital accounts to their DCB Service accounts. If you are shopping through Diamond Digital, Ivers Media, or Comixology, if you link those accounts, 5% of every one of those purchases goes towards credit that you can use at DCBService.com. It doesn't cost you anything more to do it. And if you go to our website, there's handy links right on the website to get connected with DCBService.com or our other sponsor, InStockTrades.com, their sister site. And remind everyone that InStockTrades.com has that Batman Legends of the Dark Knight trade paperback, Volume 1, $14.99 regularly, 50% off, only $7.50 for a 168-page book. It's an amazing deal. Orders of $50 or more give you free shipping. I want to thank both of those sites for continuing to support our show. Our next episode, we're going to continue to look at the Villains Month issues, to take a look at the various villains. Actually, we'll be looking at the rest of the books kind of casually from the first week of Villains Month. And we're going to try to do an episode each week focusing on those so we can kind of take a look at all of them and just get our thoughts. We're not going to do cover to cover on each one of them because of time-wise, but we want to try and touch on as many of them as we can to give you our thoughts on some of the changes that the New 52 is bringing to some of the classic DC villains, how we feel about them, which ones are our favorite, and why. So we will talk more about that next week.
Bye!
Flying through space and time, 1,000 different lifetimes. Faded for love and flaws and incredibly clear sightlines. Swinging your mace around, such a practical outlook. Helping the JSA and occasionally supporting your own book. Hawkman, Hawkman, eagle eyes can't see. Hawkman, your plan and what you do to me. Are closing in, be they Thanin Guard or Egyptian, working so hard to thwart you doing Hawkgirl's mission. The odds are not on your side, and danger seems to stack up. Things would be so much easier if you would just call for